Chaotic Universe. Pride, Respect, Skill. Created and written by C.A. Thomas aka Christopher Wilson, 2003, reimagined in 2013. Genesis Saga, Saga 1. Chapter 1. The Beginning. You know, I would be lying if I told you that my life was perfect, because it wasn't. This is what my last 3 years were like before my life changed forever. I moved to Menifee, California on September 2nd during the first year of the new millennium, after a weird freshman year. I immediately began my sophomore year and my first semester was great, with no fights or problems. Then the second semester came, and a lot of people began to take advantage of me not knowing many people. Until I met Duran Givens, he seemed like a total outcast, but we got to know each other and we became inseparable best friends. The one thing that I admire the most about myself and Duran's friendship is that we stand by each other no matter what, which makes whatever we do no matter what the actions seem right. We finished off our sophomore year and in the middle of the summer I got a call from him. He told me that his mom, who was in the army, was getting transferred to Alabama for a year and assured me that he would be back. My junior year was mostly holding out until Duran returned for our senior year. I soon after met Brandy that school year and developed a huge crush on her. Of course, she did not choose me. I lost out to a former friend Nick a senior with a fascination for dyeing his hair. That disappointed me greatly, but that was nothing compared to what was to come. After Brandy, I was interested in a girl named Tanya. It was strange and all my friends said that she wasn't my type, yet I felt like she was a goddess put on earth just for me. My junior year ended with me clinging on to my reputation mainly because most of that year I was feuding with Nick and my crush on Tanya. I spent my summer planning me and Duran's triumphant reunion and on how I was going to get with Tanya. I walked through the gate of Paloma Valley High alone with no Duran the first day of my senior year, but 2 weeks later out of nowhere Duran showed up and after more than a year me and my best friend were reunited. By the way, my name is Chris Wilson, I'm 17 years old, I have 2 sisters and a brother, my stepdad is in and out of the country right now, he too is also in the military, a Marine, and my mom is holding fort here. It is mid-February now and Valentine's Day is tomorrow. I'm currently writing a letter to Tanya to finally tell her how I feel. I understand that this may make her love me or hate me. Duran's been telling me that romantic stuff won't work, but I feel like I have to do this. I thought that this letter would change my life, but little did I know that in less than a month my life would change forever, because of something else. I'm tired. Writing this letter was more work than I thought, Chris said to himself while folding the letter. It'll work, I know it, Chris said, reassuring himself. He turned off his lamp and lied down and fell asleep. Chris, you are the one, said a young woman. Who are you, and why are you in my dream? Asked Chris. My name is Iria, the one who will change your life, and this is not a dream, and what is ahead of you isn't either, boomed Iria. Well, explain, ordered Chris. What if I told you that you have the ability to travel to a place called the Andiron Universe, a place where things including your life are nearly the total opposite, Iria responded. What if I told you that I don't need this power you're talking about? Chris yelled. Whatever, when you are ready, just go into astral projection as you are now, and yell Andiron, and I will explain everything then, sayonara, said Iria. Iria disappeared in a blinding light and Chris woke up to the sun shining through his window. Was that a dream? That couldn't have been real, Chris said to himself. Chris took a shower and got dressed. Anyway, I don't have time to think about some fantasy. I need someone to deliver this letter, Chris thought as he walked downstairs. He paced over and over again until he read a note from his mom. She said that she had to work overtime and she wanted him to mow the lawn. Chris remembered that his sisters Candace and Christina and his 4-year-old brother Anthony was at his aunt's and wouldn't be back until August. Chris picked up the phone and called Duran. Good morning, Chris greeted in a cheerful tone. What are you so happy about? Asked Duran. I wrote the letter and I'm ready to give it to her. The problem is the letter is anonymous, answered Chris. I get it, you expect me to deliver it? Duran responded. Yes, if that won't be too much for you, Chris answered immediately. I told you, that romantic stuff won't work, but I guess since it seems important to you, I will do it, said Duran. Thank you, you're the best, I will be there in 5 minutes, Chris informed. Cool, answered Duran. Chris hung up and ran out to his car. It was a blue Honda Accord with a stock spoiler on it. Chris had raced a few times for fun, but kind of faded out. Chris pulled out of his driveway and drove until he hit the intersection. Chris imagined what Tanya's response would be like. She might just go out with me, Chris thought. Chris pulled into Duran's driveway. He was sitting in his garage waiting. What's up? Duran asked. Nothing much, Chris answered while shaking his hand. Duran got in the car and looked at the letter. This is a little soft for someone like you, remarked Duran. It is, isn't it? Asked Chris. Yeah, but it's something a hot girl like Tanya would want to hear, Duran answered. I'm kind of skeptical of what I think is going to happen, but... Chris started. I already know what's going to happen, but I'm with you all the way, interrupted Duran. They pulled into the Jack in the Box drive-thru where they ordered their breakfast as usual. I have seen no sign of any crush from you, Duran. What's going on? Asked Chris. Unlike you, I'm concentrated on my work. You have a bright future, Chris, and you're blowing it by sidetracking yourself with these girls who would care less. Tanya's just another girl, answered Duran. Not to me, Chris replied. They are riding down Bradley Road, the street Paloma is on, and turned into the student parking lot. Great, another day at Paloma Valley High School, said Duran in a sarcastic tone. I hear some underground group has been forming. You hear anything about that? Asked Chris as they walked through the front gate. Not much, but I'm sure Ray and Fabian have, Duran answered. The two continued to the counseling office where most of the Wolfpack met in the morning. Manny, have Ray and Fabian arrived yet? Chris asked. They went to go get their breakfast. They've been waiting for you too. They said something about an underground group. Manny answered. Good, said Duran. Ray and Fabian came through the door with their breakfasts in their hands. Great, you two are here now, said Ray. All right, spill the information, guys, ordered Chris. Okay, I know some of you have been hearing of an underground group, started Fabian. We found their existence to be true. Their insignia is blue rags around the head and one blue rag in their pocket, continued Ray. It is rumored that the group may be prejudiced, said Fabian. Despite all the info, we have not gathered any names or leaders yet, but we'll keep you guys posted, said Ray. Sounds like these guys could end up being a threat, said Duran. I wonder if they have heard of us yet, asked Manny. That doesn't matter with BBC gone. We are the strongest group now, Chris responded. That may be true, but if they are growing, we need to be ready to protect our territory, said Duran cautiously. We will just have to step up our patrols at lunch and nutrition break, Manny added. Perfect. Myself and Duran will talk to Jeff first period, said Chris. See you at lunch, Manny. We're going to see Black now. He should know about this too, said Duran. Chris and Duran walked out of the counseling office and turned the corner. They continued toward the S building where Black hung out. Suddenly Chris saw Tanya. Hi, Tanya, Chris greeted. She walked past Chris, then stopped about 3 feet away and turned around as if she had just heard him. Oh, hi Chris, Tanya said in slight disgust. She started talking to Angela again and walked away. See what I mean? Asked Duran. Hey Duran, how's it going? Greeted Black. Good, said Chris. Report anything you see involving guys wearing blue rags around their head and a blue rag in their back pocket, said Chris. Sure I can do that. See you later, Black finished. The bell rang and Chris and Duran went off to their first period. It was Ms. Brown's English class, one of Chris's least favorite classes. The only reason why he stayed awake that period was because he had to talk to Jeff. After first period, as usual, Chris slept through his classes until nutrition break. Chris and Duran met up in front of room S103 as they did every day. So you ready for me to give this to her? Asked Duran while waving the letter around. Sure, here she comes now, answered Chris. Chris suddenly slipped into S103 as Duran started walking towards Tanya and her friends. I've got a special delivery for you, said Duran as he pointed the letter toward Tanya. Who is it from? Asked Tanya cautiously. Some guy, answered Duran. You are Chris's friend Duran, aren't you? Tanya questioned. Yes, I am, but this letter is not from him, Duran answered. You're lying. This letter is from Chris, that's why you are delivering it, responded Tanya. Just take it. The letter is anonymous, so I truly don't know who it's from, Duran said seriously. Fine, I'll take it, Tanya said as she began to open it. She read a little and didn't say anything. She walked into Mr. Fisher's room with her friends behind her. Duran walked into S103 to Chris sitting in his seat. I gave her the letter, said Duran while sitting down. Awesome, Chris replied. What does that mean? Inquired Duran. That she might join us at lunch today, answered Chris. Great, Duran said sarcastically. The bell rang and Chris's third period criminology class began. It is his second most favorite class because Anna was in it. Anna is a sophomore and as much of an anime otaku as Chris is. She is about Chris's height, which is 5 feet 9 inches. Her nationality is half Filipino and half Japanese. She has long black hair that goes down to her lower back that she usually keeps in a braid. Hey Chris, greeted Anna. Hi Anna, you got anything new today? Chris asked. Of course, you know I'm always working on something, answered Anna. Now that's the girl you should be writing love letters to. You guys have a lot in common and she keeps you concentrated, as opposed to Tanya who always insults you, whispered Duran. I know what you mean. This class and fourth period are the only classes I have A's, Chris agreed. Miss Santisteban went on with her lectures as every day. Chris listened, which was the main reason why he had an A in the class. He did not want Anna to notice how lazy he really was. Miss Santisteban ended her lecture with about 5 minutes left in class. Chris and Duran walked towards Anna's desk to her drawing. What is this? Asked Chris. This is new. Guardian Angel is its name. You can read that fourth period, answered Anna. Have you gotten any farther on Gaia's strike? Asked Chris. Chapter 9 and counting. I have to remember to get that copied for you since you like it so much, answered Anna. I would like that. I will see you next period, Chris responded. The bell rang and Chris and Duran began walking towards Mr. Newman's room. The two hung out in front of that class, knowing that Tanya and Angela had English class their fourth period. Hey Dee, don't forget the team tournament for that Gundam Battle Universe game is tonight. Be ready. I'm not a one-on-one champion for nothing. I have a reputation to uphold, so we can't lose no matter what, Chris said boldly. I've mastered that Gelgog commander anyway, and Manny and Hugh are on the team. We should be fine, Duran said while chewing on a Starburst. Suddenly Tanya and Angela walked up to them. Hey Duran, greeted Angela while hugging him. Chris and Tanya stood there staring at each other. Chris turned away. Hey Dee, I will see you at lunch, said Chris in a solemn tone. Sure Chris, said Duran. I wonder why they like Dee, but they hate me so much, Chris thought. He walked into his fourth period class thinking hard. It was ceramics class, Chris's favorite class. Chris and Anna are project partners. All the work Chris has and ever will do during that period will be done with Anna. They work while talking about anime, manga, video games, and Anna's works. Chris, what's with you? You haven't said a word yet, Anna said softly. You're right, this is a little beside me, Chris responded. What's wrong? You want to talk about it? Asked Anna. Yes, I've had a big crush for a long time on a girl named Tanya. Unfortunately, she does not like me, and at lunch, she will find out that I'm her secret admirer, Chris said as he moved over closer to Anna. Wow, replied Anna. Hey, Anna, maybe you should come and hang out with me and my friends at lunch from now on, suggested Chris. Me? Anna replied, yes you. You would be good company, and we never argue, so it would be perfect, said Chris. I guess you're right, so I'll do it, said Anna. Perfect, Chris said excitedly. Near the end of the fourth period, Chris and Anna began to clean up. I don't know much about this Tanya, but, if you need me, I'll be there the whole way, said Anna. Thanks, responded Chris. The bell rang and the two walked to D108. The Wolfpacks hang out at lunch. Manny always brought his GameCube and everyone played Super Smash Bros. Melee. Chris and Anna found seats and got situated. Hey X, are you going to play today? Asked Hugh. No, not today, I've got some business, answered Chris. Well, you're still in 9th place, but that might change, informed Hugh. Thanks, Hugh, said Chris. Hey Anna, are you hungry? Asked Chris. Yes, answered Anna. I'll go buy something to eat, I'll be back, said Chris. Alright, bring a pizza and a Sprite for me, said Anna. On his way to the lunch lines, Chris saw Duran, Tanya, and Angela walking toward D108. In D108, where is this person who wrote the letter Duran? Asked Tanya. I don't see him, answered Duran. We should sit down until this guy gets here, suggested Angela. Chris walked in with his and Anna's lunch in his hands. I like it here, everyone here is pretty peaceful, said Anna. Why do you think I hang out here? Asked Chris, while opening his Sprite. What's going on? Oh, I see, said Duran as he noticed Anna was there. No, you don't see, Anna's going to be hanging out here from now on, Chris replied. Duran may not see, but I can, right? Said a voice. Who said that? Asked Chris. Tanya. Yelled Duran. I knew it was you the whole time, said Tanya. It was Chris, said a surprised Angela. Yes, I wrote it and it wasn't very fun either, answered Chris. Listen, I have a boyfriend, and even if I didn't have one I wouldn't go out with you, said Tanya in a mocking tone. She grabbed Chris's soda and threw it in his face. And I want nothing to do with you, Tanya yelled as she threw the bottle to the ground. Anna stood up and pushed Tanya down. Why did you do that? Yelled Anna. Hey, you better calm down, Angela said as she stepped in front of Anna as if she was about to protect Tanya. Suddenly a girl walked in. So I leave for a while and you're already in trouble, and not to mention with girls, they said I'd find you here, she said. Tanya stood up. Brandy, great, do your job and take him back to his wolves again, boomed Tanya. You're on Wolfpack turf, Tanya, you didn't want to join us, remember? The girl shot back. All right, Brandy, that's enough, said Chris. Brandy, who's Brandy? Asked Duran. Okay, Chris, this is officially getting weird, said Anna. I suggest that you two hit the road if you don't want any trouble, Chris warned. I think not, said Angela. Yeah, if your little friend here wants a fight, we will give one to her, said Tanya. You sure about that? Asked Anna as she stood by Brandy. Whatever, we will take care of you two some other time. That letter, by the way, was pretty cute, Chris, said Tanya while turning around. Wait, before you leave, I'm just going to tell you, what you did here today was very disrespectful, and I will never forget it. Mark my words, I will get you back for this, Chris said boldly. Tanya and Angela walked out. Are you okay? Asked Duran. Yes, Chris answered. Chris sat down and shook his head. Who is she? Asked Duran while pointing at Brandy. I'd like to know too, said Anna. No problem, since I'm the hot topic. My name is Brandy, a good friend of Chris's and a former crush. I met Chris last year, while Duran here was gone. I went to the Philippines to visit a sick family member, missed most of school, but here I am, explained Brandy calmly. That explains it, said Duran. That girl deserved to get her ass kicked, said Anna. Don't worry about it, I'm sure we'll get our shot at those two real soon, said Brandy. Outside at Tanya and her friends' hangout, they are going to pay for that, said a frustrated Tanya. Don't worry, Tanya, we still have the letter, Angela reminded. You're right, we can use this letter to embarrass Chris like he has never been embarrassed before, declared Tanya. Not only that, but we can hit him where it hurts most, added Angela. In his heart, Tanya and Angela said in agreement. Jennifer, do you have any idea where Chris would go after school today? Asked Tanya. Word on the street is that Chris is a Gundam tournament champion and that there is going to be a team tournament tonight at the promenade. He is scheduled to be there, answered Jennifer. Good, then we can strike there first, said Tanya. After school, Chris was at home. He had just finished mowing the lawn and reflected on the day's events. Suddenly his phone rang. Hey Anna, Chris greeted. When are you going to pick up Brandy and me? Asked Anna. At about 6, you and Brandy are getting along well, answered Chris. Yeah, we just agree on a few things, that's all, responded Anna. Well, after I change I'll be on my way to Duran's, so I'll see you in about half an hour, said Chris. See you then, replied Anna. Okay, bye, said Chris. Chris hung up the phone and ran upstairs to quickly change clothes. I just might get a challenge tonight, said Chris. He soon arrived at Duran's house, and he was waiting promptly in his garage, as usual. Hey, you ready to kick some ass tonight? Asked Duran. Of course, you know how I am when it comes to this tournament, answered Chris. That's an acceptable answer, so Anna and Brandy are coming tonight? Questioned Duran. Yes, I thought it would be a good chance for them to get to know each other, and the rest of the pack, responded Chris while pulling out of Duran's driveway. You seem to be in a good mood for someone who got a soda thrown in his face earlier, Duran replied. You're right, but I know that being with the pack, Brandy, and Anna tonight will make me feel better, said Chris. Chris soon drove onto the freeway heading towards Anna's house. So this Brandy, does she have a boyfriend? Asked a curious Duran. She used to, she's a real flirt, so if you want her you better make a move fast, answered Chris. Why haven't you made a move? Asked Duran. Because I used to like her. We're good friends now and only that, answered Chris. Chris drove into the freeway exit. What about Anna? Asked Duran. What about her? Chris shot back. You know what I mean, there is something about the way you talk to her, answered Duran. We are here, I guess we'll have to talk about this another time, Chris said, trying to change the subject. Anna and Brandy came out. Chris and Duran got out of the car. Hey Chris, greeted Anna. How did you know we were here? Asked Chris. That accord really stands out, don't see a lot of blue ones these days, answered Anna. You look great, Anna, Chris complimented. Thank you, replied Anna. What about me? Yelled Brandy. Well, you look great too, Brandy, right Duran? Asked Chris. Absolutely, responded Duran. By the way, we knew you were here because of that loud muffler. You don't race anymore, you should get a new one, said Brandy sarcastically. They all got into the car. Why do I have to sit with her? Asked Duran while pointing at Brandy. Don't worry, it will only be a few minutes, said Anna. Don't worry she doesn't bite, added Chris. Easy for you to say, said Duran. Who else is on your team, Chris? Asked Brandy. Manny and Hugh, but I hear some new guys are competing, answered Chris. That's usually not good news, you know how tournament rules work, most of the new challengers are really good, replied Anna. Agreed, the new challengers have to be pretty good to get in, but we got this, added Duran. They arrived at the mall. Let's go grab a bite to eat, suggested Chris. That's a good idea, Duran agreed. Doesn't the tournament start soon? Asked Anna. It's already started, thanks to yours truly, we have a first round bye, answered Chris. Why? Brandy asked. Because Chris was last year's one-on-one champion, answered Duran. The four walked toward the food court and began to decide what to eat. I feel like some pizza right now, said Duran. Hey, me too, Brandy chimed in. I think I'll go Chinese, shall we, Anna? Chris said while putting his arm around Anna's shoulder. Of course, answered Anna. Chris and Anna went to Panda Express to order their food. Those two are something else, said Brandy. The four ordered their food and met at a table. Ray and Fabian got a little info on those new guys, said Duran before taking a sip of his soda. Well, spill it, responded Chris. Their leader Daniel Ramsey pilots the Gundam Physalis. I hear he's a good pilot, almost on par with you maybe, said Duran. I guess we'll find out, asked Chris vaguely. I guess we will, answered Duran. The group arrived at the tournament, which was in the quad of the mall. Alright, it's time for the final match of the first round featuring Team Caution and Team Physalis. Team Physalis, led by Daniel Ramsey, is one of the heavy favorites to win the tournament, along with Team X, who is led by last year's one-on-one Gundam champion Chris Wilson, said the announcer. Great, we get to see them in action, said Chris. Manny walked up. Is that the team I've been hearing about? Asked Manny. Yes, their match is about to start, answered Duran. Let the match begin, said the announcer. Let me take them, said Daniel. It seems Daniel wants to take on all of Team Caution by himself, the announcer updated. Nuclear warhead missile, yelled Daniel. Daniel's Gundam Physalis has used its ultimate attack, wiping out Team Caution's mobile suits, giving Team Physalis its first victory, the announcer updated in shock. Wow, said Duran. More than wow, Manny added. Did you see that X? Asked Hugh. I did, answered Chris. Suddenly, Chris saw Tanya and Angela. Daniel walked up to Tanya and kissed her. He's the one, and I thought I wasn't her type, thought Chris. Chris, did you see Tanya kiss that guy? Asked Duran. Yes, and it just gave me some added motivation for winning this tournament, answered Chris. And now the 8 teams left are Team Elite, Team Kokoro, Team Sin, Team 78, Team Hazard, Team GM, Team Physalis, and the heavy favorite Team X, said the announcer. The crowd cheered. The first second round match will feature Team X and Team 78, the announcer said as she motioned for Chris and his team to get ready. Good, we're up, said Chris. Remember how we planned this? We practiced with 2-on-2 matches, so we need to keep the battle terms that way, reminded Duran. Okay, team captain, set your battle terms, ordered the announcer. My name is John, but my teammates call me Amuro. After this match you will see why, said John. You should know who I am. If you don't, then it's your funeral. Listen, I don't want this to take all night, so let's set our battle at a 2-on-2. Pick anyone that you want, said Chris. That's fine since we are going to win anyway, John shot back. Big talk, just go get your teammate, and we will see, Chris said confidently. The battle terms are set for a 2-on-2 battle. That means when both members of a team are defeated, the other is crowned the winner and will advance, updated the announcer. Let's go, we can use this as a warm-up, these guys are nothing, said Chris while inserting his memory card. I wonder, why do they call him Amuro? We shouldn't take him lightly, warned Duran. You are right, but I will do anything to get to Daniel, and besides these chumps are nowhere near my level, Chris said as he smirked. The mobile suits have been confirmed. X's signature Gelgog Jaeger and his teammate Duran Givens is using a Gelgog Commander. They will be facing John aka Amuro's RX-78-2 Gundam and Mikal aka Shiro RX-78 Ground Gundam. Let the battle begin, said the announcer. John's Gundam stepped forward and drew his beam rifle and fired 3 times at Chris's Gelgog Knuckle Shield, yelled Chris. What? He blocked with his arm, yelled Mikal. Let's finish this. If Daniel can finish off matches quickly, so can we, said Duran. Are you sure you want to use this now? I wanted to have a little fun with them, said Chris. Hey, you two, stop stalling, yelled John. Chris and Duran's Gelgogs flew into the air. You wannabe pilots are finished, said Chris. Double energy cap blast, yelled Chris and Duran. Both Team 78 mobile suits have been defeated. Team X wins, said the announcer. The crowd cheered. I will get you back for this, X, in the individual tournament, me and you will meet again, yelled John. Sure, I'll be there, said Chris. Well, it looks like we'll be taking an early break, Manny joked. Anna, Brandy, and the rest of the group came out of the crowd. That was great, Chris, you guys are good, complimented Anna. Thanks, said Chris with a smirk on his face. Show off, Brandy said while giving Chris a thumb up. The sound of clapping came from the opposite direction and everyone turned around. Bravo, bravo, now that's what I expect from a Gundam champion. My name is Daniel Ramsey, said Daniel as he put his hand out for Chris to shake. Chris laughed. Have you come to praise me or congratulate me on my victory? Chris asked sarcastically. Neither, I'm just introducing myself. It seems my girlfriend here knows you and I wanted to meet the Legend X. All I ask for is a simple handshake, answered Daniel. Chris laughed again. You must be praising me, but let's get something straight. 1. Never refer to me as X, you don't have that right. 2. I know Tanya put you up to this, and frankly it annoys me. Don't feed me that polite bullshit, because your intentions of coming over here wasn't to meet and greet. 3. You don't intimidate me, and last, me and you will never shake hands, Chris said boldly. That was really rude, Chris, shot Tanya. Look who's talking, Anna shot back. Throwing soda in somebody's face isn't the epitome of politeness either, added Brandy. That's it, I have had enough of you two. Let's settle this now, yelled Angela. Stop, Angela, Tanya, we have no time to be dealing with these losers. As for you, Chris, I will win this tournament, and pretty soon you will be seeing me a lot more often. Let's go, said Daniel. Wait, you can't even fathom what you are getting yourself into, but you are in. No one insults me and gets away with it. You insulted me with your phony presence and trying to pass off as a respectable person. Be prepared to face me in the finals, Ramsey, Chris said while pointing at Daniel. Hey Chris, yelled Tanya. She had the letter and waved it from side to side. This isn't even the beginning, remember that, warned Tanya. Tanya, Angela, and Daniel walked away. We shouldn't have let them do that, said Manny. They just don't get it, Duran remarked. I think they get it, but if they don't the rest of this school year will be very interesting, Chris replied. And one thing is for sure, they still have that letter, said Brandy. We don't need to worry about that now, assured Duran. He's right, let's sort this out Monday, said Anna. The second round came to an end, with Team Physalis advancing of course. Team Kokoro and Team GM also advanced to the semifinals, which were going to be held next Friday. Hey, Anna, we've got time to see a movie, you want to come? It will be on me? Said Chris. Sure, I'd love to, responded Anna. What about me? Asked Brandy, who was a few feet away. Chris and Anna didn't hear her, they were already buying tickets. Well, I guess it's just me and you, said Duran. Wow, what was your first clue? Responded Brandy. Simmer down, I just wanted to take you to a movie, but I guess you don't want to come, said Duran. Sorry, in the past I was ignored by Chris like this, said Brandy. We should go see a movie too, Duran said as he motioned to the box office. Brandy and Duran went to buy their tickets. Excuse me, what movie did those other two buy tickets for? Asked Brandy. Cradle to the Grave, would you like to see that? Suggested the box office cashier. Yes please, answered Brandy. Hey, I didn't want to see that, said Duran. Be quiet and give her the money, ordered Brandy. Serves me right, mumbled Duran while giving the box office cashier the money. They walked to the concession stand. Would you like some popcorn and a soda? Asked Duran. Sure, thank you, answered Brandy. You know, I can tell that you care about Chris a lot, not like you love him or anything, but you just care, said Duran. I do, I might be a little protective of him, but he's been hurt a lot, even by me. He's a great person and he deserves a great girl, Brandy said while grabbing her soda. So Anna is not that person to you? Asked Duran. No, I don't think any girl is that person right now, answered Brandy. I don't agree with that. Anna is perfect, those two like the same things, and she really helps his mood, just her presence makes him happy, Duran said while opening the door to the theater cinema. You might be right, but I'm going to watch her anyway. What happened to him earlier today isn't going to happen again with me here now, Brandy replied. Duran and Brandy walked into the theater and immediately saw Chris and Anna talking. Let's sit here, whispered Brandy. Are you crazy? They might see us, Duran whispered back. The lights went out and the previews began. Thanks, Chris, you and your friends have made me feel very welcome today, said Anna. Don't mention it, everyone likes you anyway, even Brandy, I think, responded Chris. The movie came to an end and Chris and Anna walked out of the theater. Brandy and Duran weren't far behind. I had a great time tonight, Anna. It was all thanks to you, said Chris. I don't know what to say, Anna responded. That's okay, I think I have given you one too many compliments anyway, replied Chris. I didn't mean it that way, Anna said while grabbing Chris's hand. Then what did you mean? Questioned Chris. Anna got close and stood directly in front of Chris. The two stood there staring into each other's eyes. What the hell are they doing? Asked Brandy. I don't know, answered Duran. Brandy told me about what happened between you two last school year. I couldn't believe what you went through, and I promise that won't happen this time. I had a good time too, thank you, Anna replied. Anna's face got closer to Chris, and a second later they kissed for about 10 seconds. They held hands and started walking toward Chris's car. I knew it, said Brandy. I told you, Duran shot back. Brandy and Duran started walking. You know we can't say anything about what we just saw, said Duran. I know, but can't we stop this somehow? You know firsthand what these crushes do to Chris, said Brandy. We should not interfere in their affairs, besides it seemed like they didn't know what they wanted to do. I don't think anything serious is going to happen anytime soon, added Duran. I guess that they didn't seem too serious, Brandy agreed. They made it to Chris's car and got in. Finally, Chris said while starting the car. What were you guys doing? Asked Anna. I would like to know the same about you too, Duran said sarcastically. We saw a movie, Chris and Anna said at the same time. Anyway, Remember that we have to deal with Tanya and her group next week. What they said earlier isn't being forgotten, reminded Duran. I want to make them pay for what they did today, said Brandy. I remember, but we also need to investigate that new group. In the long run, they can become a threat too, replied Chris. Chris dropped everyone off and went home for the weekend. He spent his weekend relaxing and thinking about the past week. Monday morning. The phone rang. Hello, Chris said as he answered the phone. Good morning, Chris, greeted Anna. How are you doing? Asked Chris. Great, I was just calling to tell you that we need to talk when we get to school, answered Anna. Okay, I'll pick you up in about 15 minutes, see you then bye, Chris responded. Chris got dressed and ran out to his Accord. He soon arrived at Duran's house. Ready to take care of business today? Greeted Duran. Sort of, Anna called and said that she needed to talk to me, Chris answered. About what? Asked Duran. I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's about Friday night, answered Chris. Duran turned away. I've been wondering, how did Tanya find out that you wrote the letter when it was anonymous? Asked Duran. Well, at the bottom of the letter I put my X symbol on it. It was difficult to see, but it seemed Tanya was determined to find out who wrote it and was very observant of it, Chris answered. I guess that explains when I called you X. Started Duran. She put 2 and 2 together and found out that it was me, interrupted Chris. They arrived at Anna's house and picked up Brandy and Anna, and drove toward school. Good morning, Duran, Anna greeted. Hi Anna, I hope that you guys are ready, we have to make a statement today, replied Duran. That reminds me Dee, I need you to run the meeting this morning, said Chris. Okay, I'll take care of it, Duran responded. They soon arrived at school. Well, myself and Anna will go on our way. Remember to tell me everything you guys go over, said Chris. Chris and Anna went behind the S building. Alright, Chris, I brought you back here to tell you that started Anna. Take your time. Actually, I was wondering if you were looking for a boyfriend, asked Chris. You read my mind. You see, Chris, I want to go, Anna said, trying to finish. Well, look what we have here, said Tanya. Looks like one lover boy, and his girlfriend who can't mind her own business, Angela added. I think you're right, Angela, said Gabriel. Tanya reached into her pocket. Hey look, I'm holding Chris's heart, said Tanya while waving the letter. She tossed it to Jennifer, and Jennifer tossed it to Angela, who tossed it back to Tanya. You see, Chris, I told you that this was just the beginning, laughed Tanya. That's it, are you finished? Asked Chris with a smirk on his face. I don't see anything funny here, but the rejection on your face, answered Gabriel. Chris threw a small battery at Gabriel, and a small aura of electricity surrounded Gabriel. He fell to the ground. Chris threw an object at the ground that emitted a thick cloud of smoke. Chris and Anna disappeared. Chris and Anna were running. What was that? Asked Anna. Black's experimental non-lethal weapons, answered Chris while stopping. I can't believe that they did that, said Anna as they walked into the counseling office. Chris, the pack has come to a decision. Hey, why are you breathing so hard? Asked Duran. We ran into Tanya and company, Chris responded. How did you guys get away? Asked Duran. Black's weapons, answered Chris. So they work, Duran remarked. Let's go after them right now, yelled Brandy. She's right, let's go, said Duran. No, right now, believe it or not, they have the advantage, said Chris. And how is that? Asked Duran. The letter, answered Anna. We're going to get it back and burn it, but not today. Let's go see Black. Anna and Brandy, please stay here, Chris ordered while opening the door. Okay, agreed Anna and Brandy. They went to Black's hangout. Hey Black, how is it going? Asked Chris. Could be a better day, answered Black. What's with you? Duran asked. My parents called me the son of Satan because I got a C on my progress report, answered Black. I got to test your weapons, said Chris. So my electroshocker and smoke bomb are a success. I just finished the prototypes for the stun shocker and solar flash. The electroshocker and smoke bomb will be in mass production by Thursday, said Black excitedly. Has anyone been asking anything about us? You know, stuff they shouldn't be asking, Chris inquired. As a matter of fact, Gabriel just came here and demanded to know where you were, answered Black. I left them with a few gifts if you know what I mean, said Chris. We should get going, Duran suggested. By Thursday you say. On Thursday I will meet you here to pick up the weapons and distribute them to the whole wolf pack, and of course, you will receive your $200, Chris concluded. The money is not really necessary, you guys are making me feel like a weapons dealer, said Black modestly. You can use it to test new weapons, you are in charge of the weapons. Sam is developing more but they get approved by you, remember that, said Duran while turning around. The two said goodbye to Black and started walking back to the counseling office. They saw Tanya and Gabriel who sat there, staring at them. Do you like something over here? Yelled Duran. Tanya and Gabriel didn't answer and continued to look Chris and Duran's way. I heard you two were looking for me. Well, I'm right here, said Chris as he approached Gabriel and Tanya. Gabriel stood up. You truly are bold, you got lucky earlier and you won't escape me again, Gabriel said as he got into Chris's face. We have no problem with Duran or the meaningless others, started Angela. Just you, Anna, and Brandy, you for writing that stupid letter and insulting my boyfriend, Anna for sticking her nose in my business and pushing me down, and Brandy for challenging me. These are the people we are after. If anyone else interferes they'll be a part of this too, Tanya said in an angry tone. Your best bet would be to stay off of our turf, if you don't want to get hurt, said Gabriel. And did I mention that starting Friday Daniel will be going to school here for the rest of the year? You have no chance of leaving this school without being embarrassed, said Tanya. I guess you just did. Now listen, your threats mean nothing to me. I'll take on anyone or anything that you have to offer. I am a wolf and I do have a pack, said Chris boldly. Chris spit on the ground right in front of Tanya and walked away with his hands in his pockets. Duran shrugged his shoulders and quickly followed. Chris, I don't know if Duran told you yet, but on Thursday we are striking against Tanya's group if their lack of respect continues, announced Manny. Good, I want to assign your sister Natalie to Anna, said Chris. Why? Asked Manny. It seems Tanya and her friends want revenge on me, her, and Brandy. I am sure Brandy can take care of herself for the time being, answered Chris. I'll take care of it, Manny replied confidently. You walk fast, said Duran. Why are you running? Asked Manny. To catch up with Chris, he really pissed them off, answered Duran. That reminds me, on Thursday the war begins, they won't stop until they get the revenge that they want, announced Chris. Perfect, I'll plan our first action, said Manny. Well, that settles it, Chris declared. Ray, Fabian, come over here, ordered Duran. Any new developments? Asked Manny. Yes, answered Fabian. We found out the new group's name, continued Ray. Word on the street is that their name is the Syndicate, continued Fabian. Their territory has grown slightly, past the D building almost, lectured Ray. But the thing is they don't have a leader yet, which means that they shouldn't be making any important moves anytime soon, finished Fabian. But what if they do get one soon? Manny questioned. That is highly unlikely. That is their main dispute. It may take them weeks, even months to pick a leader, lectured Fabian. That's good information. Spread the word about Thursday to the rest of the wolf pack, ordered Chris. The bell rang and everyone went their separate ways for their first period classes. Natalie, come in, said Chris into his walkie-talkie. This is Natalie. No sign of the enemy yet, reported Natalie. Good. Brandy, stand by, ordered Chris. Roger, answered Brandy. Suddenly Tanya and Angela came out of a corner and stood in front of Anna. Why look over here if it isn't our good friend Anna, said Tanya. I'm not your friend, Anna responded sharply. But you are, said Angela as she pushed Anna. Anna has engaged the enemy, reported Natalie. All units move in now, yelled Chris. So you two love pulling bullshit like this? Well, the numbers are all even now, said Brandy while standing next to Anna. What? Yelled Tanya. And that's not even half of it, said Chris. Right, guys? Asked Duran. Right, answered Manny, Yoshi, Andrew, and Natalie. Look, Tanya, if you want a war, I'll give you one if these weak and out-of-tune ambushes continue, and since you're outnumbered, you better head for the hills because I have some people here who aren't your biggest fans, Chris said calmly. Tanya and Angela walked away. The final bell rang, and everyone except for Duran, Brandy, Chris, and Anna went to class. Well, you better get to class, said Chris as he hugged Anna. Thanks, Anna replied. She kissed Chris on the cheek and went to her class. And you were saying that you didn't like her, said Duran. I'm going to class, said Brandy as she walked away. What's her problem? Chris asked. Who cares? I really think you and Anna will be going out soon, replied Duran. Why do you still torture me? There is nothing going on between me and Anna, said Chris seriously as they began walking to class. Hey you two, double time, the final bell rang 3 minutes ago, a security guard shouted. Do you want us to run? Asked Duran. These new security guards are a pain, Chris remarked. We will be an even bigger pain when you're in lockout, said the security guard sarcastically. Chris and Duran walked into Ms. Brown's room. Duran and Chris, how nice of you to join us. 7 minutes late this time. I would send you two to lockout, but, Duran, you have an A, and Chris, you have a D. I wouldn't want to mess you guys up now, announced Ms. Brown. Duran sat down and paid attention as usual, and Chris sat down and went to sleep as usual. Second period was basically the same except for a different grade. In Chris's first period class senior English he had a D-. In his second period economics class he had a B-. Weird for someone who sleeps through the class. Third period criminology and fourth period ceramics he had an A+, and in his fifth and final period speech and debate, he had a B+, equaling to a 3.0 grade point average. A more concentrated Duran got a 3.83. During nutrition, a great day so far. This is the life, said Chris excitedly. What are we going to do about Tanya and company? Asked Duran. They are nothing to worry about right now, their tactics are pathetic, answered Chris confidently. You keep in mind that they know where we hang out at lunch. They could pull anything between now and Thursday, warned Duran. Chris laughed. Right, but I'm not going to forget what happened to me and lunch last week, at the tournament, and earlier. Their disrespect will end on Thursday permanently, said Chris with a serious look on his face. Bold words, you seem very serious about this. See, this is the Chris I know, the serious, focused, unfazed Chris. You're unstoppable right now, Duran encouraged. Tanya and her friends walked by giving dirty looks as they went by. Shortly after that the bell rang and Chris, Anna, and Duran walked into their criminology class. You know, I wonder, what were you and Anna talking about earlier this morning? Asked Duran, curiously. The funny thing is that Anna and I really didn't get too far before Tanya and company interrupted, answered Chris. That's weird because she's been acting a little different, said Duran. Meaning? Asked Chris. Whatever she had to tell you was very important to her, and she's trying to find out if she still wants to tell you or not, answered Duran. Well, that's not my fault, said Chris. Of course it is, but I know you care about her, so you should find out what she had to tell you, or it will get worse, lectured Duran. Okay, I'll talk to her next period. Happy? Chris whispered. Third period went by as usual, well except for Anna talking to Chris. Duran and Chris were in front of Mr. Newman's room before fourth period, as usual. Are you sure we should be here today? Asked Duran. For the third time, yes, a part of not being intimidated is acting as usual, and that's what we're doing, answered Chris. Tanya and Angela walked up. Great. What are you doing here? Asked Tanya, sarcastically. Doing what I do every day, answered Chris. What is that? Being a dumbass, Angela mocked. Angela, that is not necessary, Duran snapped. Stay out of this, it should be between me and Tanya anyway, said Chris seriously. He's right, Angela, just go inside, I'll be alright, ordered Tanya. You should go too, I can handle this, Chris said while putting his hands into his pockets. Duran walked away. I don't trust him, said Angela. Just go, Angela, yelled Tanya. Angela went into Mr. Newman's class. Listen, I am going to tell you the truth. I don't really hate you, even though you are cocky, something I dislike. There's something about you that tells me you're better than the image you put forth. I still have the letter. I warned you earlier, said Tanya seriously. That's right, you told me to stay off of your turf. Well, I don't think I'll be doing that anytime soon. Sorry, Chris said sarcastically. I'm warning you for the last time, I'm doing this because I think you are an okay guy. Gabriel and Daniel want to kick your ass. This is just a fair warning, Tanya responded. Thank you, but whichever way this turns out, I hope that me and you can become friends someday, Chris said as he began walking away. Chris walked away. Me too, Tanya whispered to herself. Chris arrived in his fourth period. There you are, you were almost late, greeted Anna. Well, finally you talked to me, Chris replied. With all these things going on, I haven't been feeling like myself, continued Anna. Well, it's good you're back, we should finish our Ceto vase today, Chris said as he pulled out their tools. This should be easy, but I'm wondering what will Manny have in mind for Thursday, asked Anna. I am not sure, but I know that Manny will make it fun, answered Chris. I want to be a part of the whole thing, Anna suggested. You will, I promise, agreed Chris quietly. What's going on at lunch today, asked Anna. Same as normal, but hopefully without Tanya stopping by, Chris answered. The period went by as usual and Chris and Anna arrived at D108 for lunch. The rest of the day went by most uneventfully. Tuesday and Wednesday went by just the same. Tanya and Angela made fun of Chris's letter, which annoyed Chris and the rest of the wolf pack. But finally the first attempt for revenge has come. Thursday morning. Chris has already picked up Anna, Brandy, and Duran up. Manny is going to brief us when we get to school, that includes Brandy and Anna, lectured Duran. I am curious to find out what Manny has planned, Chris said while turning on Bradley Road. I hope it involves kicking one of their asses, said Brandy. I agree, Anna added. They arrived at Paloma Valley High once again. Good you two are here. I'm just about to start the briefing, said Manny. More Wolfpack members arrived until all of them were sitting in the counseling office awaiting Manny's briefing. Welcome members of the Wolfpack, you are now attending a briefing for an operation to combat a pressing matter that has been bothering us for a while now. First off, Ray and Fabian will break down our intelligence analysis, started Manny. For the last 3 days I and Fabian have been analyzing the enemy codenamed Tanya and Company, started Ray. Tanya and Company are made up of about 12 people. We have 15, that's a +3 advantage, lectured Fabian. They hang out near S103, the area that they're in makes it easy for us to hide until we carry out our plan, said Ray. In order for this to work, Tanya must not know that Chris is here today, continued Fabian. We are to go after whoever is holding the letter when the plan is initiated, no matter who it is, finished Manny. At Nutrition, I have a surprise for all of you, announced Chris. Do you have another plan, Chris? Whispered Duran. Hell no, answered Chris. What are you up to? Asked Duran. The weapons, remember, reminded Chris. Speaking of that, we should get to Black. Remember, you have to avoid Tanya or the plan will be ruined, said Duran as he and Chris walked out of the door. Hey Duran, what took you two so long? I have a schedule to keep, you know, remarked Black. We know that, we had to go over the operation, said Duran. This letter contains all the info, where the op is going to take place, everything. Remember to burn the letter after you read it, not that anyone would go trash digging, but I don't want to take the risk, lectured Chris. Here are the weapons, don't be afraid they won't explode, said Black as he handed Chris a backpack. Also, inside the letter is your money, do whatever you want with it, said Duran while turning around. And if anyone asks you, I'm not here today, added Chris. Okay, you guys be careful, said Black. Make sure you're at least there to watch, suggested Chris. You know what I will, said Black. Great, everything is going according to plan, Chris said excitedly. Stay focused, we'll have to go to class early to avoid Tanya, speak of the devil, said Duran. Chris ran into a nearby classroom. Hey Duran, where is Chris? Asked Tanya. He isn't here today, what do you want? Answered Duran. Nothing, seems he was too scared to show up today, he must be at home practicing, because Daniel is going to win that tournament tomorrow, said Tanya. I wouldn't bet on that, said Duran, sarcastically. Tell him that he hasn't escaped me, warned Tanya. Suddenly someone wearing a hood bumped into Tanya hard and knocked her down. I'll be sure to tell him that, said Duran while laughing. Duran walked away. The bell rung, the hooded person was standing in front of Ms. Brown's class. Nice one, Chris congratulated Duran while shaking his hand. Thanks, but I had heard enough, said Chris while taking his hood off. Chris's first 2 periods went by uneventfully. He avoided Tanya and company successfully throughout that time. During nutrition, the whole wolf pack met behind the S building. I'm giving all of you these weapons because I trust that all of you will be instrumental in this operation, but remember to follow the plan, Chris said boldly. Wolf! Yelled Duran. Pack, the rest of the group yelled. They rallied around Chris and jumped up and down. The bell rang and they all went to class. Chris, you really hyped them up, said Duran. Wow, even I'm ready, Anna added. I'm serious about this, we really need to get them off our back before the syndicate moves in, Chris said seriously. 3rd and 4th periods went by slowly, but finally lunch had come. Chris and the wolf pack met up at lunch and ate, then promptly moved into position. This is great, they haven't spotted us yet, said Hugh. That is weird, they should be more aware of their surroundings, Brandy added. It's time, said Chris softly. Chris stood up and walked over to Tanya's group with his hands in his pockets. You are here? I thought you were at home hiding today, asked Tanya. Chris laughed. Hide, from you? No way, said Chris sarcastically. Oh, there's a good reason why you would hide from me, and here it is, Tanya said as she pulled the letter out of her pocket. Tanya tossed it to Jennifer. I can't believe that someone would write something so corny, teased Angela. I told you, Chris, we have the advantage, so just go away, Tanya demanded. I don't see it that way, Chris said sarcastically. Oh well, how do you see it? Asked Tanya. Wolf, yelled Chris. A wolf, laughed Angela. Come on, Chris, we don't have time for your silly jokes, said Tanya sarcastically. Suddenly, the wolf pack stepped out of their hiding place and surrounded Jennifer, who was holding the letter. What the hell? Yelled Gabriel. Shut up, Duran shouted as he threw an electroshocker at Gabriel. Gabriel fell to the ground. The rest of the wolf pack continued to throw electroshockers at all of Tanya's group, except for Jennifer and Tanya. Tanya, I don't want you to miss this, said Chris as he walked toward Tanya. Brandy and Anna grabbed Tanya. Stunned shocker, said Chris while putting it on Tanya. Try to move, suggested Chris. I can't, said a struggling Tanya. Good, it works, Chris remarked. Chris walked over to a shocked Jennifer and snatched the letter from her hands. Pack, said Chris. The whole wolf pack knocked Jennifer down and began kicking and stomping her. That's enough, we have what we want, Chris taunted. Let's go, yelled Duran while throwing electroshockers at spectators. The rest of the day went by smoothly with the entire school talking about the attack. The school officials were well aware of the attack, but everyone was too intimidated to come forward and witness. It was rumored that Jennifer was in the hospital. After school. What a success, said Duran. It sure was, Chris replied. Even after all they have done to us, I feel kind of bad, said Anna. I don't, they deserved every bit of it, Brandy added. I hear Jennifer is in the hospital, informed Chris. Yeah, I saw an ambulance leave the school on my way to class, Anna pointed out. They arrived at Anna's. Take care, Anna, I'll call you when I get home. By Brandy, thanks for all of your help, said Chris. You're welcome, Chris, you call me Duran, Brandy said as she followed Anna. Chris drove off. So what now? Asked Duran. First, I need some gas, second, I'm going to burn the letter, and third, I'm going to humiliate Daniel tomorrow, Chris said as he stopped at the gas station. We scored big today, but paying Jennifer a visit would make our victory a landslide, suggested Duran. I don't know, we got what we wanted, reminded Chris. That's right, we did, but why not more, added Duran. Well, that would rid us of them for a bit, said Chris. See, I knew you would agree, said Duran as he got back into the car. Chris got in and pulled out of the gas station. Now I can bet my life that Tanya and Angela will be there, Duran lectured. Meaning? Chris responded. We need to make a statement tonight, that me and you are no bullshit, said Duran. They arrived at the hospital. Excuse me, do you know what room Jennifer Poole is in? Chris asked a nurse. Let's see, it's on the 2nd floor, first door to the left. Who are you two? Asked the nurse. Now that's something you should not be asking, lady, answered Chris. Thanks for the directions though, Duran remarked. They took the elevator and arrived on the second floor. Chris opened the door. As expected, Tanya and Angela were there visiting, but there was another person in the room. End of chapter 1.